With Greece set to hold a second parliamentary election in June, following the last polls at the end of May, one party, the Democratic National Liberation Movement, or DKEA, is calling for an independent Greece which decides its own national future in contrast to the EU states. The DKEA party was established earlier this year in opposition to the current Greek government's course. Its stated goals are to strive for Greek unity and independence and an exit from the EU and NATO. It's also calling for resistance to Western hegemony, which, according to its leader, is destroying the country. The party founder and ex-Energy and Environment Minister, Panagiotis Lafazanis, says that Greece should reject Western influence and strive for closer ties with Russia.
The
parties that will enter Parliament have approximately the same political position, especially these three parties, New Democracy, Syriza and Kinal, Movement of Change. Their political positions are almost identical. All three parties are products of the Western centres, Brussels, Berlin and Washington. They unquestioningly follow Western politics in a very subservient way. What the West says is the law for these parties. Greece has become a protectorate. Greece has passed into the hands of the oligarchy and its economy is literally sold out to transnational centres. And it's this Greece that matters because whichever of these parties forms the government, the political position will be the same. An equally reactionary, anti-people, anti-social and servile political position. First and foremost, our party, the Democratic National Liberation Movement, or DKEA for short, is against the protectorate status imposed on our country, against our country's dependence and its transformation into a kind of colony of Brussels, Berlin and Washington. We want an independent Greece, a Greece which will actually decide its own national and social future. For us, this is the main issue. The second issue that disguises us is our clear and precise position regarding the war in Ukraine. We say that Russia is right in this war. Russia did not cause this war. On the contrary, the war was waged by the United States, NATO and the Ukrainian Nazi regime. They caused this war, they are aggravating it, and they are leading Ukraine, Europe and the whole world into the abyss. Unfortunately, this unanimity that exists regarding the condemnation of Russia is literally destructive for Greece, for our region and, of course, for Europe and the whole world. This unanimity regarding Russia leads our country into even bigger dependence, carries even greater threats to our security and our survival, because Greece has now turned into a base for a big Western campaign against Russia. From the American bases located in Greece, troops and weapons systems are launched against Russia and are sent to Ukraine and neighbouring countries. For us, this is unacceptable. This puts Greece at great risk. We want Greece to be independent, to strive for very close, friendly cooperation with Russia, with which we have absolutely no disagreements. DKEA is the only party that says Russia is right. Russia is not the aggressor. Russia cannot be isolated. And vice versa, Russia should be helped in dialogue with Ukraine in order to find a fair, peaceful solution based on realistic positions. None of the mass media in Greece show our position. It does not give us the opportunity to speak to the Greek public. This shows that there is no democracy in Greece. On the contrary, there's a dictatorship, because democracy means that the voice that is different is also heard. NATO wants to escalate the war in Ukraine to an extreme form. I think that we are at the beginning of this war, its expansion and not the end of it. There is no benefit for Greece in supporting NATO in this war of aggression in Ukraine or in helping make this war more intense. Today, Russia is not at war with Ukraine, but at war with the entire West. For the first time in history, one country is opposed to almost everything, the so-called developed world. I'm talking about governments, of course, not people. Greece must say one big no to NATO, must say that it will not follow the sanctions imposed on Russia because they are illegal, unfair and unfavourable for our nation and our national path. Greece must stop sending weapons to Ukraine, which escalates the war, and all this needs to be done right now. This is our position, and it should be the position of Greece. Greece today can play a positive role in stopping the evil that's happening now in Ukraine. This should be the mission of our country, rather than being a colony and a pawn of NATO, America, Brussels, Germany, and of course, in this dirty war.